Monday, November the 8th. It's a beautiful day. It was actually my 10-year wedding anniversary on Saturday to my beautiful wife, my compadre, best friend, my rock. It was good. We had a kid-free night out. Enjoyed each other's company without the screaming and tantrums that you get from the little ones. Although ours are pretty good. But yeah. Monday, back to the grind. Video number, I think we're at 4. We're at 4 now. So yeah, next video. Just got my V. Give me that beginning of the week kick. Keep me going. I'll put that down. It's important to know not to drink too many energy drinks. It can be bad for the old ticker. So, just so you know, I'm 2 or 3 a week, just when I need them, just to keep me going, keep me grinding. Yeah. Video number 4. So this one is gonna be a little bit about my past, really. Education, how I got to where I am today. It's probably going to be a 2-part video, so it doesn't run for too long. But being a tattooist, you spend a lot of time with your clients one-on-one talking. One of the most common questions you get asked as a tattoo artist is, how long have you been doing what you do? And where did it start? You know, how did it come about? Mine was a little bit different. So we'll go way back when, to my time as a youngster and at school. So when I was growing up, obviously, you know, being a boy, I was always out, up to no good, getting dirty, living my best life. But I always drew as a child. I had the toys. I'm an 80s kid, so had the best toys. Excuse me, just getting comfortable. You know, it was all Star Wars, He-Man, the Turtles, all the good stuff. So yeah, I mean, I did have toys, but I always had a pad and pencil. I was always drawing, always. My mum used to say, you know, she could leave me for hours just with a pad and pencil, and I'd just sit there sketching everything, really. Not too sure what, but yeah, I was always painting and doing craft and drawing and, you know, all the other things that come along with it. And that kind of followed me through into my school years, where, you know, I kind of excelled in art. I'm a creative individual, and I'm lucky in the fact that my olds saw that in me and kind of always let me run with it. So yeah, I went to school. Education, very important. Yeah, I can't, you know, I had a good education. Actually went to private school, Catholic school, St. Joseph's, Stoke-on-Trent, England. Yeah. I'll tell you a story, quick one. I wasn't a cool kid at school. I was in the rugby team, you know, the cricket team. I was good at sprinting, did athletics, but I always kind of mucked around with my little gang, you know. got caught smoking, things like that. I was always behind the tennis courts, having a fag, or wandering around with my little crew. And yeah, so I was in all the teams, did art. So what happened? I wasn't a bad kid when I was younger. There was a point in my life where I got in with the wrong crowd. But yeah, I was actually asked to leave my school due to a little incident. Wasn't intentional, but it could have ended up a lot worse. I used to have a fascination with just throwing knives at things, as you do, trying to get them sticking. At home, it was the trees and things like that, with boxes, and at school it would be boards and, just a little plastic craft knives. Occasionally, the metal scalpels that weigh a little bit more, and saying that would be a lot more dangerous. So this one time at band camp, I was in a design technology class, and for one reason or another, I decided to throw said scalpel at one of my friends on the opposite side of the room. Stupid thing to do. Ridiculous, in fact, because, doing things like that, bad things can happen. As they did. So, as I threw the instruments across the room, another gentleman got up from the floor. He was doing something, can't remember what, in the middle of my action. So the scalpel went in his forehead. There. And it stuck in. It was sticking out of his head, right between his eyes. Absolutely ridiculous. It was scary. I could have blinded him, taken his eye out. It was ridiculous. So due to the incident, I couldn't hide the fact. Obviously, when he pulled the scalpel out, there was quite a mess of a red liquid. I'll let you decide what that was. So yeah, I got ejected from the school, but they allowed me to go back and do my exams. It was 6 months before my GCSEs, which they're called in England. So kind of your finals at school, and they told me to do one, but you can come back and do your exams. They tried to make a little bit of an example out of me. So, kind of didn't work in their favour, because when I left, I was fortunate enough that my parents arranged for me to see different tutors. One for English language, another for physics and maths, another for French and Spanish. I would go to their houses. I had to go to the local college. My dad set me up in this little office that he had, and they would drop me there at school hours. So I'd be there from 8:30 in the morning. They'd pick me up around 3:30 in the afternoon. Unless I was seeing a tutor, then I would get picked up and taken to the tutor, do my lesson and go back. This kind of paved its way for me in life, because it gave me the ability to work alone. Some people can't do it. I think it's kind of what made me, to be honest. It made me work, and it gave me the drive to succeed. So yeah, did that for a period. Went back to school, did my exams, walked out 2 A's, 7 B's. Not a bad result, all things considered. I was happy with it. Parents were happy with it. So yeah, that is kind of my school life and my, younger life. Just summarised rather quickly, which then led me on to college. I'm just going to halt there because I've actually got quite a funny story about the day I got expelled from school. The day I got expelled from school, I went in, uniform on, headmaster's office, walked out, stepdad, Tone, legend, said, oh, you know, your mum's not going to be happy. Damn right. So we'll go and have a chat about it. I'm like, okay. Where are we going to go for a chat? The pub. So at this time I would have been 15, because I was one of the youngest in my year at school. So I would have been 15. So we go to the Terrace, little pub in Stoke, that my stepfather and his business partner, you know, they go there every Thursday for their drink and chat. So we go down there. Tone says, oh, Dobbo's going to be joining us. So Dobbo is my stepdad's business partner. I call him Uncle Dobbo. He's been there my whole life. He's family in my eyes. So, you know, we're going to go down there, we're going to have a chat. So we go in the Terrace. There's Simon, the landlord, behind the bar. Tone goes, oh, the youngins had a bit of an issue at school. We've got to have a chat to him. Do you mind if we, you know, just go at the back? We'll stay out the way and just have a drink and, you know, set the worlds to rights. So he's like, yeah, cool. Just tell him to take his blazer off, take his tie off. Yeah, and go at the back. So we did. Luckily, I looked older than my age. Hence the reason we were at a alcoholic drinking premises. So we go up the back corner near the pool table, near the jukebox. Uncle Dobbo arrives. And we talk about the incidents that happened and about the future and this and that and how it was daft. And, you know, I didn't get a bollocking. It was an accident. But they had kicked me out of school. So we had to have this chat. So we did. Me, my stepdad, Uncle Dobbo. We got there lunchtime-ish, 12 o'clock. We left at 8 p.m. that night. After drinking 8, 9, 10 pints of Addleston's cider. It's a strong beverage. We all got drunk, and I think the words from Uncle Dobbo and the old fella were, well, it's not the first time you've been in a pub and had a beer, is it? And it wasn't. So that's the day I got expelled. Then we go home, you know, mum's in tears, not very happy, understandable. And then obviously everything else plays out. The studying, the tutors, and then I go back and do my exams, leave school with my qualifications. So that leads us to really where I started to make art, design a priority, in the fact that it was my strong area, so it was something I wanted to continue with, and my parents were happy to push me towards that. So yeah, I went to Newcastle-under-Lyme College in Stoke-on-Trent to do my A-levels, they're called, 2 years. And I chose art, photography, I think it was French and Spanish, and yeah, I think it was them four. So this was, you know, fine art to start with. So it involved studying art history, you know, all the greats. It involved a lot of fine art, so, you know, drawing, painting, using all sorts of mediums, acrylics, oils, pastels. So we experimented a lot with different mediums. The photography aspect, I've always been interested in photography. That was cool. The lecturer Dave was a little bit out there. Darkroom Dave, we used to call him. And that's where I got into my photography. A lot of it was black and white photography. And this is back when you would use manual SLR cameras, and we had a dark room. We used to develop all our own film. So that was cool. The French and Spanish, I ended up knocking on the head, I think. And I concentrated more on the art, the photography, and at some point in there, design graphics. I kind of crossed over onto that. So yeah, so I kind of moved into that area. So yeah, I just kind of pursued art all my life, and then I did my 2 years, and then I think following that, I got my qualifications in them. And then after that, I did a foundation course. So I'd got my qualifications in, graphic design, fine arts, and then photography. And then I was to do a foundation course. So foundation course is basically a year where you try a lot of different forms of art and you kind of specialize in one. So this was pretty cool because I got the opportunity to then do all aspects of fine art, including like life drawing and things like that. I studied textiles, which involved learning about fashion, which I've always been into. I think it's a cool subject. I like how people have got their own style, and I studied a lot of different designers, usually the ones that were a bit more wacky. Back then, I had a fascination with Vivienne Westwood, the whole punk era and all that. So yeah, textiles, fine art, we did ceramics, we did illustration, we did graphics, we did a number of different things. I then specialized in design graphics. So graphic design as a whole. I think this is kind of where my love for 80s kind of skateboard art came from. The Jim Phillips kind of Santa Cruz, bright graphics, bold lines, solid artwork. That's where that came from. And I also I was really into typography and script. So I kind of, concentrated on them two areas. The editorial side of it I was interested in David Carson, Neville Brody. You can look into them. Legends of the 80s. The Neville Brody and the David Carson, if you do look into it for any reason, you'll see that they were heavily involved in, kind of alternative magazines back then, like ID, Raygun. David Carson was more, all grungy kind of distorted backgrounds and text that was kind of all over the place. And then Neville Brody was a wizard with his bold lettering as well. So yeah, I concentrated on them. And then continued the photography, and yeah, finished that. That was 12 months later, foundation course. So this is 3 years after leaving school. Well, asked to leave, but technically leaving and getting my qualifications. And then this led on to university, which I'll be honest with you, I'm glad I went to university. I'm glad I've got my qualification, but I wouldn't technically call myself a university student. I didn't hang around the bloody uni bar and, you know, do all the typical student stuff, probably because I stayed in Stoke-on-Trent to do my qualification. So I went to Staffordshire University. If I'd have gone to a different university out of the area, it would have probably been a little different. I applied for Brighton University, but back then it was the best uni in the world for graphics. Not world, sorry, duh. It was the best university in Great Britain for graphics. They have an obscene amount of applicants, like hundreds, and there's only 23 or something places there was at the time. And then 6 were kept for foreign students. So there was really a small number of places. I got into like the last 50, but didn't get in, which was kind of a bummer because Brighton's a cool city on the south coast of England. Lot of history there. So yeah, I didn't get in. I got into Bournemouth, which was a good university. So, you know, it was good for graphic design, but I don't know. I just had this kind of feeling that I didn't want to go to Bournemouth to study. So I got into Staff's uni. So I stayed in Stoke, you know, it's in my hometown. So because I stayed in Stoke and obviously didn't go away to university, I already had my own friends. Already had the pubs that I went to, the people I hung around with. So I generally just went to uni to do my lectures and then I was out of there. So yeah, I went to uni. That was 3 years. 3 years from start to finish. I went to uni to do graphic design. So it was for a Bachelor of Arts in graphic design, because that's what I excelled in. But in the first 12 months of this, I was asked by the university, as everyone else that was on my course, you know, to study different forms of graphic design whilst concentrating on the course itself. So you would again spend a little bit of time doing textiles, animation, product design, all these other things that kind of come along with graphics, which is, I mean, that's why I like graphic design so much, because everything at some point in time has been designed, whether it's the chair you're sitting on, you know, the phone that's recording me, whether it's a piece of artwork that you've got to design before you create it. In, you know, everything has been designed, vehicles, everything. There is a point where that thing has to be designed. So graphic design can cover a very broad spectrum of things, and then it's up to you which way you take it. So yeah, university. When was I there? Christ. This would have been about 2000, year 2000, I think. Yeah, it would have been, yeah, 1999, 2000, it thereabouts. So that's when I started uni. So that was 3 years. So this leads me on to kind of where I got a taste for tattooing, because by this time I was already getting tattoos. Got my first tattoo at 15. Mummy dearest wasn't impressed. Tried to hide it for a long time, but she knew. And then it got to the point where I, you know, wasn't that fussed. It, you know, it was the late 90s about this time. You know, I started getting tattooed in 95. 96, 97, met my best mate Pete, another legend. I'll tell you a few stories about me and Pierre at some point. So yeah, me and Pete basically started getting tattooed. It wasn't popular back then. Got everything that you would get in the late 90s. Japanese symbols, barbed wire, tribal, Celtic, all the good stuff. So because I was getting tattooed, I went to one. So I started getting tattooed at this little tattoo studio called Gentle John's, just at the bottom of Hanley, bottom of the town, you know, next to this car park, up some creaky stairs, and there's this little tattoo studio. And Gentle John, old school, little fella, and that's where I got my first taste of getting tattooed and tattoo shops. So I had a few on my left arm way back then. My very first one's a little dragon on the top of my right thigh. It's a beautiful little piece. And it's the one piece I'll never get rid of, because it, you know, it reminds me why I'm doing what I do. Still as bold as the day I did it. Actually, I'll probably show you a picture of it. It might be coming up next. That is fancy. So yeah, not bad. It's bloody, what are we, 15, I'm 41, 25, 35, 26 years old. That bad boy, is that right? 26? Yeah, 26 years old. There we go, that's where it started. And just went from there, really. Started getting tattooed and a few piercings at another tattoo studio with Pete. We became friends with the owner of the tattoo studio, Oz. Good friends, in fact. Many fond memories of hanging out with Oz, hanging out at the tattoo studio. Yeah, so there was a point there where, when I was studying at university, I would leave, I would go uptown, I would call in on Oz, you know, coffee, have a bacon sandwich, hang around the tattoo studio. I was always there, getting tattooed or just hanging around, and Oz was a mate. Obviously older mates, but I'd just, you know, chill up there and just kick about. If, you know, I'd just go, oh, you know, do you want me to do this? I'd run and, you know, get some sandwiches with him, or, you know, I'd draw a few tattoos up for him, or just kind of help out, really. It wasn't paid. I just enjoyed the atmosphere and everything that went along with the industry. And then one day, Oz said, you know, how do you feel about learning how to tattoo? I went, oh, I don't know. I'm not too sure, really. It's pretty cool, I suppose. So, yeah, why not? I said, but I can't do a proper apprenticeship, which, you know, back then was 2 to 3 years. I can't do that. I'm at university, I'm studying for a degree, blah de blah de blah. So he said, oh, you know, well, you're a mate as well, so what about when you're not at uni, when you're up here, you just kind of learn it when you're here, and then, you know, you can still do your uni work and study, and we kind of do it like that. So I was like, yeah, cool, we'll give that a run. So that's where my first taste of tattooing came from. I didn't go and ask for a job. I didn't apply to different studios for an apprenticeship. It just came from my life of getting tattooed, hanging around people in the industry. You could say right place, right time, although there's a gap period there, which I'll come to. So yeah, that's how I basically got my foot in the door. It was a continuation of art through school, and then into college, and then into university, and then studying all the different art forms, having a fascination for the art world as a whole, which then led me to get tattoos and then hang around with tattooists. I'd been to a couple of conventions with Oz, you know, just as a guest, looking around. and then him asking me if I'd like to learn the trade. And that was the beginning. That's where it started. So there's a little insight to how I got where I am. We'll leave it at there. Leave it at there. The hell's that? We'll leave it there because I'm not sure how long this video's going for. I don't want to bore you for too long. And then we'll revisit go to the second chapter of how I became a tattooist and where it led me. We'll throw a little bit of my life in here and there because it's been fruitful, I'll be honest. Wouldn't change it for the world. So there'll be a few other stories off there. I'll try not to go off tangent too much. But yeah, and I'll tell you about my apprenticeship back in late 99, 2000. And then that took me somewhere else on my voyage of life. So yeah, that was part one. School, education, college. Hope it was okay for you. Tune in for the next video where we'll divulge a bit further into my history of tattooing. All right, thank you.